Next question. The following information is provided relating to acquiring company Efficient Ltd and target company Healthy Ltd. So there are two companies. A is Efficient Ltd and T is Healthy Ltd. Number of equity shares have been provided to us. It is 10 lakhs and 7 lakh 50,000. Market capitalization. Dear students, the term market capitalization stands for market price of the share into number of shares. That is what we understand is the market capitalization. The price earning ratio is given, reserves and surplus is given, and the promoter's holding is provided to us in terms of the number of shares. Board of directors of both the companies have decided to give a fair deal to the shareholders and accordingly for swap ratio. Swap means exchange ratio. The weights decided are 40%, 25%, 35% respectively for earning, book value and market price per share of each company. You are required to calculate. These are the four questions that they have provided. In that, the first question is swap ratio. I request all of you to go through the question and then we'll discuss that how to do answer. Just go through the question, all of you. Now let us have a proper understanding of the answer. This is a very good question in my opinion. Why this is a very good question? Because this question will give you a good understanding that as far as the exchange ratio determination is concerned, it does not depend only upon one factor, it depends upon multiple factors. We understand that, say, in terms of the earning per share, suppose the acquiring company is having say the higher earning per share, then it would like to keep the exchange ratio based on earning per share so that the exchange ratio will be lower. On the other hand, so the target company may have higher market price per share, then it would insist that the exchange ratio should be based on market price per share so that the exchange ratio will be higher. In a way that, say, both the companies will always have a kind of negotiation in which the companies will always have a kind of argument with one another to keep the exchange ratio which is in favor of them. Over here in this question we understand that say the things are in this way only, wherein there are more than one way by which say the exchange ratio is determined. Certain weights are assigned to the different parameters and then we have a weighted average exchange ratio to be applied for the purpose of acquisition. Do not write anything, let me explain you. Going with the language of the question, there are three parameters based on which we are required to determine the exchange ratio. One is earning per share, the second is book value per share, and the last is market price per share. These are the three parameters based on which we are required to compute the exchange ratio. We can see that the sufficient information is provided to us with which we can make all the calculations. For example, we understand market value is given, yes. Number of shares are given, yes. So sufficient information is provided to calculate the MPS. The price earning ratio is given, yes. So MPS and price earning ratio will give the answer of earning per share. So we have EPS, we have MPS. We have been provided with the information about the equity share capital and the reserves and surplus. So the total of both of them is the total book value, and based on that, so the book value per share can be calculated. This is the way. So there are three methods by which we will make the calculation of the exchange ratio, and then we are supposed to apply the weighted average. Calculation of exchange ratio would be very simple. Based on earning per share, it will be calculated as EPS of the target company, that is Healthy Limited in this example, divided by EPS of the Efficient Limited. From MPS point of view, it is MPS of Healthy Limited divided by MPS of the Efficient Limited. Dear students, I am going to discuss that in detail, say how to make the calculation of the exchange ratio based on book value per share. Weights have been provided to us 0.40, 0.25, 0.35. That is the way weighted average exchange ratio will be calculated for the purpose of acquisition. This is the way we are required to do answer for the first part of the question. Now, of course, we are required to make initially the calculation of EPS, MPS, book value per share. So we are going to have initially that working to be made. So I request all of you to write down answer along with me. Working note number 1, calculation of earning per share, comma, market price per share and book value per share of both the companies before merger. That is what we are going to calculate. So the first is Efficient Limited and the next is Healthy Limited. We have been provided with the market value and number of shares. So that will give us market price per share. It is market value divided by number of shares. For Efficient Limited, it is 500 lakhs divided by 10 lakhs. That comes to 50 rupees per share. Price earning ratio is 10 times. So that will be helpful to us to calculate EPS. It will be calculated as MPS upon price earning ratio. As far as MPS is concerned, it is 5050 divided by price earning ratio is concerned, that is 10. So EPS is rupees 5. Next is book value will be calculated. It is equity share capital plus reserves and surplus. The amount of the equity share capital is 10 lakhs into 10 plus reserves and surplus is 300 lakhs. So 100 plus 300, that is 400 lakhs. Based on that book value per share, that is book value divided by number of shares. So it is 400 lakhs divided by number of equity shares are 10 lakhs. So it is 40 rupees per share. I request you to write down for the Efficient Limited and for Healthy Limited, you try to do answer and put your answer in the chat box. So in case of Healthy Limited, 750 lakhs divided by 7.5 lakh. That is 100 rupees per share. Earning per share, that is calculated as 100 divided by price earning ratio, that is 5. So earning per share comes to rupees 20. Book value is number of equity shares 7,50,000 into 10 plus reserves and surplus is 165 lakhs. 75 plus 165 is 240. Book value per share, in that it is book value 240 lakhs divided by number of shares 7,50,000. That comes to 32 rupees per share. This is the way we are required to make the calculation of the basic financial details of both the companies. Now let us make the calculation of exchange ratio. Calculation of exchange ratio, or it is also given a name as swap ratio. Everybody is requested to have understanding that say how we are supposed to prepare the table. Column number 1 will be the basis. In that say the earning, book value and market price. Column number 2 will be weight. It is 0.40, 0.25, 0.35. Third column will be exchange ratio. Weight into exchange ratio. That is the way we are required to apply the weighted average. Okay. Everybody is requested to pay attention. In terms of the earning per share, the weight is provided as 0.40. Now, as far as the exchange ratio is concerned, it will be calculated as EPS of Healthy Limited upon EPS of Efficient Limited. So for Healthy Limited, earning per share is 20 and this is 5. So 20 rupees divided by 5 rupees. So the exchange ratio will be 4. And weighted average will be 0.40 into 4. That comes to 1.6. The next way is provided to us as book value per share. Dear students, in case of book value per share, the same formula is here. It is book value per share of Healthy Limited divided by book value per share of Efficient Limited. Its weight is 0.25. Okay. Now we understand that it is 32 upon 40. 32 rupees divided by 40 rupees. So the exchange ratio will be 0.80. Now listen me carefully, giving you some more explanation in detail. In this case, what kind of conversation will be there between both the companies? Let us have a discussion. The target company says that say my book value is 240 lakhs. Acquiring company says that say for one equity share it is 40 rupees value for my equity share. So we understand that say one equity share of acquiring company has price of 40 rupees and the total target company has a value of 240 lakhs. So it is equal to this number of shares. So use your calculator. 240 into 1, that is 240 divided by 40, that comes to 6 lakh number of shares. So basically issuing 6 lakh number of equity shares against 7 lakh 50,000 is nothing else but exchange ratio of 0.80. This is what we understand. At the same time, we can have a logic like this. My equity share has a value of 40 rupees in terms of the book value acquiring company. Target company's book value is 32. So 32 upon 40 is indicating fraction of my equity share is equal to their one equity share. What fraction? 0.8. 80% of my share is equal to one share of the target company. This is the way we are required to make the calculation. Try to complete the remaining working on your own and put your answer in the chat box. After book value per share, the next is the market price per share. In that case, dear students, it is MPS of Healthy Limited upon MPS of Efficient Limited. So the MPS has already been found by us. It is 150. So the answer is 2. That is the way the exchange ratio is supposed to be found. weight is provided to us as 0.35. So what will happen, dear students? It is 0.25 into 0.80, that is 0.20. Next, 0.35 into 2, that is 0.70. And based on this, overall weighted average exchange ratio will be found. So use a calculator. 1.6 plus zero point 0.2 plus zero point 0.7, that comes to 2.5. So 2.50 is the weighted average exchange ratio for the purpose of acquisition. Second part of the question, calculate the promoter's holding in percentage term after acquisition. That is the second question. So let us make calculation of the second part of the question. Answer for the second part of the question, calculation of promoter's holding in percentage term after acquisition. Dear students, over here information is provided about Efficient Limited, Healthy Limited, and then merged entity. Let me explain you. We understand that so the shares held by promoters. For Efficient Limited, it is 4,75,000. For Healthy Limited, it is 5 lakhs. Total number of shares. For Efficient Limited, it is 10 lakhs. For Healthy Limited, it is 7,50,000. Now, dear students, as far as the merged entity is concerned, we understand that the exchange ratio is 2.5. So, the number of shares of the merged entity will be 10 lakhs plus 7,50,000 into 2.5. That is the number of shares of the merged entity. So 18 lakh 75,000 plus 10 lakhs, that is 28 lakh 75,000. Now friends, over here an important assumption which is made is that the promoters of both the companies are same. That is an important assumption which has been made. So what will happen, dear students? The number of shares held by the promoter in merged entity will be 4,75,000 plus 5 lakhs into 2.50. This is what we understand. So what will happen? It is 5 lakhs into 2.5. So it is 12 lakh 50,000 plus 4 lakh 75,000. So the shares held by the promoter in merged entity is 17 lakh 25,000. So we understand that so the shares held by the promoter divided by total number of shares, that comes to 0.60. That is percentage of shares held by promoter, 0.60 or 60%. This is the way we are required to give answer of the question. So write down with paragraph a small note. Assuming that promoters of both the companies are same, comma, promoters holding in percentage term is calculated.